Hello, I'm MrTieDye. Welcome to my channel. So today I've had a few different requests for a Hyper V and incorporating the V onto a long sleeve tee. So that's what we're going to do today. So what I'm starting with here is a t-shirt that's been soaked in soda ash. It's been spun out so it's just barely damp, and then I've turned it inside out and I've centered the tee. By tucking one of the sleeves into the other sleeve, and I do have a video on that. It's on a short sleeve tee, but it works the same on a long sleeve. It just takes a little more time, but I'm just lining up the two sleeves inside each other along this seam here, and then you can just kind of shake it out. And then the other thing I do is I line up the shoulder seams so that the neckline is centered also. And then that puts the front of the tee and the back of the tee in two places here, and that just gives a cleaner saturation when I'm doing DNA type designs. It makes them more even side to side. The front and the back might be a little bit different, but side to side is usually pretty close to the same on the front and on the back. So to start with here, what I'm going to do is take my yardstick and I'm going to make a very steep V shape on here, and what I'm going to do is go up to about the middle of this sleeve up here. Let's see if I can scoot this down just a little bit. Okay, so I have my sleeve here, and what I'm going to do is go to about the middle of this sleeve here, and then I'm starting just you can make it however steep you like it, but I'm going just a few inches from the bottom of the t-shirt. So I'm just going to draw this line all the way up right to there, and then what I'm going to do is extend it down the sleeve. So let's turn this around. So now I have my sleeve here, and what I'm going to do is just run this right down the middle of the sleeve all the way to the cuff. So there's going to be my fold line that I'm going to work with. And so that will incorporate the Hyper V into the long sleeve of the t-shirt. So once I have my line drawn on there, then I'm just going to get situated so that my line is just going straight out from me. That's my preferred method here for folding. And then I'm just going to start at the bottom. And I'm going to do a nice size, that's probably about maybe an inch high of a pleat here. You want it, if it's too short of a pleat, it might buckle on you because this is going to be a long distance going all the way up the tee and then down the sleeve. So you don't want it to buckle on you when you tie it or put the rubber bands on. So make sure that you have enough that when you squeeze it, it's going to stay nice and flat there. So anyway, I'm just going to work all the way up to the top here, and I'm just lining this up on top of my folds here and trying to keep them about the same height. On these last couple folds, I'm going to do them just a little bit taller so that the end of this run is at the bottom here, and then that way I can take this next fold and just flop it right up there. And that'll start me right down the sleeve. So now I'll straighten the sleeve out so that the line is running straight from my pleated folds here down. Like I said, I have a couple taller pleats here, plus the ones when you flop that up, they just go a little wonky, so there's just a little extra space here and a tight fold there. But you just make that work and then continue your fold all the way down the sleeve. And I'm tying the whole thing up here, so I'm going to kind of push and squeeze this together here with my hand on it. That way I'm holding it down so it doesn't want to buckle on me, and then I'm squeezing it here just to compress it a little bit. And that's going to help lessen the chance of it buckling on you if you have your hand resting right on it. And then I'm going to tie just a little bit on either side of my line, just to really give it some stability. And I'm going to go ahead and tie this off right now just to make sure that it doesn't loosen up on me. I want to keep that nice and tight right there. And then from there, then you can work on the rest of your folds here. So what I'm going to do is just continue these same pleats here and just line them all up next to each other. And then I'll just tie these off also here. If you need to, you can adjust some of your folds with a cuticle pusher, just to make sure that they are laying nicely and not over top of one another. Okay, so there's the V part there, and I'm going to do DNA from here down. The rest of this, I'm going to scrunch this up, just because that's my option. You could, though, if you wanted to continue with the V folds, you could just continue, line up all the rest of your pleats that you have there, all the way out there, and then you could just tie it up the same way. But I'm going to do a scrunch on the rest of this chest pattern here. So for this, like I say, I tied just a little bit past the line here, and now I'm just kind of opening some of these creases up just to kind of scrunch in there just a little bit. Once I have that done like that, then you can just scrunch up the rest. The other thing you could do at this point, you could turn this into a spider Hyper-V just by doing a spider twist on that part. So there's lots of possibilities here. But putting a scrunch on there, that makes it so that if you wanted to put a logo or something here on the chest, then you could do that with this Hyper-V. That's a really nice way to incorporate another design, whether it's one that you screen print on or you paint on with dye, or you just want to have a different color on the chest there, a solid color. So lots of options in tie-dye to design your shirts the way you want them. Okay, let me get some gloves on and we'll put some dye on this. Okay, time to splash some color on here. So I went ahead and I drew my line just a little straighter. It had kind of gone a little bit crooked, which meant that I didn't quite keep things straight, but that's fine. With this design, I think I'm going to do just fine. I do the same straight line on the back, and I'm going to go with just a solid green line, a bright green, because I want that line to really stand out. So I'm going to put the green in the same place on the front and the back of the t-shirt, and then I have three other colors, emerald green, sapphire blue, and plum purple, that I'm going to do a DNA design on the back, and then I have a light turquoise that I mixed up, And I'm going to do that here and then put a little bit of darker turquoise over top of it. So we're going to start with the light green stripe, bright green. This here is a color I mix up myself. I just use, it's about 3 parts lemon yellow and 1 part turquoise. And you can adjust that. The more turquoise you add, the darker the green is going to be. If you want it to be really bright, a limey green, then you just add more of the lemon yellow to it. So I'm going to do that there, and then I'm going to put, like I say, the DNA in these other 3 colors. Okay, now for this part of the tea, like I said, I'm just going to do light turquoise as the base. So all I did was add maybe a 1/4 bottle of the turquoise already mixed dye and then filled it the rest of the way up with water. And that made my light turquoise. Okay, now I'm going to put my darker turquoise over top of this blue, the light turquoise. And we'll flip this straight over. Now, like I say, I'm doing the green, light green, as a solid line, so I'm doing the same color in the same places on the back side here. So there's that line, and then the other 3, this was the order I put them in, was my emerald green, sapphire blue, and plum. And since now I want to do the DNA pattern, then I have to move one of my bottles here. So instead of starting with the green, I'm going to start with the purple. So I'm just changing my order just by 1 space. So now in all of the green spaces, I'm going to put purple. And I'm going to put a clean dry rag under this. I can already tell that there's some dye that wants to seep out there. So I'm getting good saturation in there. And this way it has a place to go if I put a dry rag. And there's the Hyper-V with incorporating the long sleeve into it. So I'm going to let this batch for 48 hours and you'll see it in just a few seconds. Gander at our handiwork here. Okay, well, let's open this all the way up. Okay, this one I tucked the sleeve all the way into the other sleeve. So we'll get that pulled out. And there's the Hyper-V, and we have the stripe goes all the way down the sleeve there.